well, they don't have the money to educate themselves. Well, you can go on YouTube, you can go on ChatGPT. Every piece of information is on there. There's absolutely zero barrier to entry. So it's about managing oneself and learning to focus on that thing that you really want, and then wholeheartedly invest your energies into allowing that thing to happen. The only thing that holds human beings back, once again, is the constructs, it's the ideas. I can't do it because of a past reference point. But here's the thing, that your past is not your biography. It really isn't. Your past does not equal your future in any sense of the word. It absolutely, and here's the thing, with the field of psychology, there was a lot of these fake ideas floating around about things being deeply ingrained in human beings. These are all false concepts that were, they were overruled in about 2013. They hold zero weight. You can achieve anything that you want, and let me build upon this. Andres Ericsson was they call him was the professor of genius. He spent 30 years researching the greatest minds in all of human history, the greatest geniuses, to see what it was that allowed people to create extraordinary results. What was this genius inherent within human beings? And what he found after 30 years of research was genius does not exist. There's no such thing. When you see people doing things exceptionally well, let's say the Einsteins of this world, they're in an area of something that they have a great obsession about. So the desire is there, the love is there. They don't force themselves to do anything. It's complete immersion. The reason they break through is because they're not limiting themselves by comparison, right? Because too many times people think, well, this person's really good, and they create a comparison. Now, here's the thing. Anytime you compare yourself to another human being, you are comparing yourself to their limit. So you've immediately capped your potential. So it's about removing those limits from your mind and removing the comparisons. When someone does something great, it's like, wow, that's amazing, you see it, but you don't compare it to yourself. When you're not comparing yourself to another person, what have you got left? The only thing that you've got left is either your narration from the past, or you are relying upon the essence of who you are, and that life force essence is the essence that created the entire universe. Therefore, when you rely on your internal essence, the accomplishment of what you wish is inevitable. The only time that things are impeded is when you're building or you're bringing your corporeal self or your human aspect to it, and you're gaslighting yourself, you're capping your potential. That's the only thing that holds you back. So it's really about removing the resistance. And the way you do that is by stopping all comparisons to any other human being. And in fact, there are terms that float around quite a lot, as in the non-judgment, detached from the outcome. What these actually mean is non-judgment is not in the judiciary sense. Non-judgment means that you're not judging your current situation or your current results. You're not judging that. And detachment means detaching from your current state of consciousness to enter the consciousness of the person you choose to become. When you do that, it's like walking from one room to another. It's all to do with the sense of self and your state of consciousness. Once you embody the consciousness of wealth and you live that, and you breathe that, and you embody that, if that's what you feel you want, you'll position yourself into a place where the things that you desire will start appearing, because creation is complete, right? The past and the future are one. So anything that you want it's actually already there. Yes, there may be a time lapse towards the accomplishment and the attainment of those things, but those things, it's having the knowingness within yourself that they're absolutely there, and they're there for the accepting. And that's what I'm saying to you about desires. When you have a desire, it's for you to acknowledge and to accept and to receive and have gratitude for having that desire. And then you start taking the steps towards the realization of those things in the present tense. So let's have a little bit of water. Do we have any questions so far?
So I'm an opera singer. I came into it quite late, so I would compare. And I've got myself to a point where I think I've done what you described and put various blocks. So I'm having problems with producing the sound. I'm initially self-taught. So are you saying that it is more what I put there than mechanical?
It's completely that. Anything that you've imposed, you put within yourself, is inhibiting your potential. So, you know, let's say you started as a child. Guess what it'd be comparison to all the other children, but you're not old enough, right? You're too young, this or that. So what you'll find is the human mind, it brings up our minds. Whenever we're about to do something, our minds start bringing up all these blocks and all these excuses, all these reasons, all these rationalizations. And when it does that, it's for us to learn to navigate away from it. There was some research done on this, which is really interesting, on this psychologist, I can't remember her name, but her thesis was on, if you look at how-to programs, like how to have the body of your dreams, how to have a great relationship, how to earn £1 million on eBay or Amazon, what she found was all these courses, they actually work. Now, if they actually work, why isn't everyone in the greatest relationship of their lives and they're super wealthy, X, Y, Z? Because the moment that you attempt to apply yourself, guess what happens? All these narratives, all these stories, all the ideas from the past, they start appearing. And then you start, if you reflect on the past, and that becomes a reference point, what happens is you're building that into the future. So therefore, that's why it's really important to be in this present moment awareness and to utilize the past in terms of good memories and see how things served you. So if there were difficult things you went through, you look at it through the eyes of, because you've got the negative, you start extracting the good from that, so it neutralizes the emotional charge, and then you start moving forward. So what I would say to you, in order to achieve the level of success that you want, is completely embody that. You're that person. Your consciousness is there. You completely, wholeheartedly embody that. And immerse yourself amongst people that are in that world, so you're absorbing that energy, so it becomes a feeling of naturalness, it becomes normal for you, it becomes inevitable, it becomes expected, and what happens is everything starts to take place. What you're experiencing in your present moment is what every single person in this room, all of us at one stage or another, or even currently when we're attempting to do things, we're having all these particular ideas appearing. And when those ideas appear, they're things to be looked at as stepping stones, but also learning to navigate past them without associating that as your identity. Make sense? Okay. So when we talk about achieving a level of success in the things that we really want to do, there are qualities involved in success. So you might see someone who you'll think, well, this person's super successful, they must be really smart, or they're very intelligent, or they're very creative, or they're an eloquent writer, or they're a great orator. So if we think of someone who's successful, who comes to mind for any of you? Just throw a name at me. Who do you see as successful? Could be spiritually, financially. The word success. Xian, who comes to mind for you? Someone who's successful. Okay. And what is it about this spiritual leader that makes him so successful? What would you say?
He meditated on a Harley line. He realized, I'm not sheep, but I woke up to sleep, just wake up and get on with it.
Have you ever woken up? Okay, enlightened. Okay, let's look. So if we sit, do you see? So then let's look. Let's throw some other names. Just throw some names at me of someone who's successful. Okay, sorry. David Beckham. Okay, what makes David Beckham successful? Okay, so before the achievement, there was a quality. What made him achieve that? Dream. Have you ever had a dream? Okay. And David Beckham's very driven, obsessed by things, focused on it. Used to play football as a child. Have you ever been focused on something? Okay, so you've ever had a dream. Have you ever been disciplined? Yes. Any other names? Okay, Elon Musk. What is it about Elon Musk that makes him successful? Okay, have you ever believed in yourself, ever, about any one thing? Of course, yes. So every single one of us have had this self-belief, a level of self-awareness, a level of drive, a level of discipline. We're saying Oprah Winfrey. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever name and whatever person that you think about, you'll recognize that you also possess that quality within you. The reason I'm bringing this up is that when you recognize the quality in others that you admire, you recognize that it's within you, you activate it. So if you said, well, Elon Musk is very creative, well, have you ever been creative? Yes. Have you ever had an original idea? Yes. So it's owning the trait. When you own the trait, you're activating it, you're embodying it. And if you look at the success, you'll find that, if there, or what people will say are failures, or X, Y, and Z, but that it's not the reason why it's a bit of a dodgy term to say failure, because when you're doing something that you love, along the way, when things aren't working out, you're still playing the game. You haven't failed, you're still moving around. Failure is like, if you're doing something that's not for you, you haven't even really failed. You're choosing to do something else. So as you're following that path, what you do is anytime there's something that appears as an obstacle, it's there for a reason, right? And it's there to for you to improve yourself and navigate past that. Does that make sense? So here's the thing, and again, it's an exercise for everyone to do, is that whenever you see someone successful or someone that you admire, the very first thing to do is observe where you yourself display those qualities. In doing so, you're activating that within yourself. When you activate that within yourself and you embody the consciousness of the one that you desire to become, once again, I'll come back to that point, that the success in the field that you are moving towards is inevitable. It's just a thing of resistance, and that's one of the things which I'm really making an emphasis on here. It's removing those barriers, because the barriers are they're complete constructs in the mind. The moment you take your attention away from them, they start diminishing and disappearing. The moment you lean into the things that you have affinity towards and the things that you desire, and you focus upon that, then you become that. You become the desire of the thing that you want. Okay. Any more questions? So we're all clear on that. So it's the sense of self. We hear this term self-concept. It's not about manifesting and tinkering and creating this thing and that thing. It's becoming the person that the desires that you want come to you, and that they appear and you obtain them. Manifestation is not about, like, if someone said they want to manifest a cup of coffee, well, you could walk in anywhere, someone's going to give you a cup of coffee. That's ordinarily available to you. Like, true manifestation is attaining things that are outside of the ordinary. Under ordinary circumstances, this thing cannot happen. And then you are learning to embody that level of faith and that level of knowingness that that desire is yours for accomplishment, and then you have literally the things that you aspire towards happening, and they happen very naturally. So it's about becoming that person. So as I was saying to you, the idea of self-concept, we cannot achieve greater than what we believe ourselves to be, right? So you can't, when I came back to the example of Roger Bannister, the reason all these other people, they couldn't do the 4-minute mile, they didn't believe they could do it. They had a self-image that was limited. So it's about removing the idea of your limitation. Because here's the thing, yes, the human body has limited capacity, but your essence doesn't. So if you're reflecting on your corporeal self, or you're reflecting upon a past reference point, you're not going anywhere. When you remove all of that and you're in the present moment, and you dream of the things that you want in the present tense, and you recognize the inevitability of those things occurring, they will absolutely fully occur, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. Our minds, when it comes to the things that we see around us, like imagination is everything. If you think about it, you can't point to anything that was not once in someone's imagination. They imagined it wholeheartedly, like the example I gave you, falling in love. They imagined it, they desired it, they had an affinity to it, they accepted that thing, and then the thing starts occurring, right? So imagination is everything. So you begin with the imagination. Now, these are real subtle nuances and points. It's not the image in your mind that creates your external reality. It's the image transmits a feeling, an emotion. It's that feeling and that emotion which not even say construct, but that puts in scope the reality that you desire. It's not the image. Otherwise, you just watch a film and all these things occur. It's not that. The imagination and the visualization is there to evoke the feeling, and the feeling becomes a transmission from the unconscious. And this is why we visualize. You have an unconscious mind, you have a subconscious mind, and you have a conscious mind, right? The subconscious it doesn't exist, the subconscious doesn't exist without the conscious and the unconscious. Once the conscious and the unconscious combine, then you have the subconscious, right? I'm not going to go too deep into this, but the things that you design in terms of like the level of wealth and X, Y, and Z, or the healing, or the relationship, all these things, they start from the imagination, and then you transmit the emotion, the feeling of what that thing will feel like for you. When that desire is impressed upon you and you have that feeling, it's complete. What you desire, it becomes an inevitability. The only thing that gets in its way are the constructs and the ideas and the gaslighting of oneself, right? And the over-rationalization, the over-reasoning, these are the things that cause problems. So it's just get really in tune with what you desire, and those things will occur at the there's a gestation period of the time that those things will happen. So I hope you're all following along with this. It's down to that sense of self. So as you embody the consciousness of the greatest expression of you, those things that you desire become ordinarily available to you. They'll start appearing, but it's to do with how you perceive yourself, and that level of self-reliance and the affinity towards moving it in the direction of the highest aspirations, and then it becomes complete. But these are really subtle points, but I would say they're the most important things, because when people start dwelling on the things that they want and they try and affirm next ones, these things, they have a time and place, but they will not work without the specific feeling and without the removing of the resistance. Any questions on that? Ravi?
What about if someone's doing a job that they don't want to do, they're having to do it? How do they keep moving down to moving towards the direction of that?
What it is, if you're in a professional relationship, an X, Y, and Z situation which is unpleasant, look, that unpleasantness, it births an opposite for the desire that you want, right? So there's something really important in that. Also, if you look at your life as a whole, and you see sometimes you're doing a job or there was a particular situation that you didn't like, you can see how it currently serves you. When you observe, let's say in your profession that you don't quite like and you just don't like it, but there are parts of that, maybe paying the bills, you may be creating new contacts, it may give you a certain level of order and structure in your life. So you start looking at the good within that, whilst simultaneously positioning yourself in the consciousness of that world and that life that you want without compromise, with absolutely no compromise, without limiting yourself, without gaslighting yourself, without excuse. You embody that. And once you embody that, those things occur. But thank you for that question, Ravi. Ravi, for example, I'll just come back to Ravi. That's okay. So we had a couple of main stars in your movie. Now, before they became the leads in the film, correct me if I'm wrong, you're sitting in a particular screening of a movie, observing those actors, and in your mind you thought, he's going to be in my film and he's going to be in my film. Is that correct? It's imagination. You hadn't even spoke with them. You hadn't even approached them about it. You pictured it in your mind. It's the embodiment of that. Like, Xian in a former life was a world bodybuilding champion. And this is the great thing about it. So we can say, well, genetics, X, Y, and Z. Well, I mean, he was overweight at UCL, drinking beers all day long, and had a dream about looking great, and he did, right? So look, here's the whole thing. That brings me back to that point of any time, any moment in your life, whatever you dream of and whatever you align yourself towards, then those things will occur. But it's just clearing the path of the constructs in your mind. When my daughter's sitting over there, when she was very little, one of the times my heart was pounding out of my chest. I think she was about 9 or 10 years old. She came home and she said, I really like someone, and I was literally about to die. And I go, who is that? I couldn't even bring the words out. And she said, Justin Bieber. But anyway. Okay, we get to manifestation. She has pictures with Justin. When she was little, he had the premiere of his movie. There's no way I could get tickets for it, but I could imagine us in the premiere. So we're there at 6 a.m. and it's pouring down with rain. To cut a long story short, with no tickets, nothing, about 7 o'clock in the evening, and this is being absolutely genuine to the security, because I bought coffees for everyone. There's like 10,000 girls there, and there's just myself and a bunch of security guards. I just bought them coffees just as a gesture of goodwill. So 7 o'clock, what happens? The security come over and they escort us on to his purple carpet. We go directly to his premiere, right? But again, the imagination, right? Those things, you can't construct that. That's not ordinarily available. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then this thing's going to occur. It doesn't work that way. If there's a knowingness inside your mind of the things that you want, then it starts to appear. My son as well, he's over there, and it's a great example of my son. He was, and this is a great story on validation as well. So when he was PE at school, he wanted to be great at sports, and they always kept telling me that he was more academically gifted and X, Y, Z and this and that, but he wanted to do something well in sports. So they had him in the bottom group. So every parents' evening, I'd say to them the same thing. He wants to do something in sports. It's not right that you've got him in the bottom group, and they would say the same thing for him. Now, I'm a bit of an unconventional parent, so I said to my son, look, don't even bother going, this is a waste of time. Time is valuable. I'm not going to answer their calls. You do not go to that PE class anymore. I stuck him in a jiu-jitsu school with all these grown men who were full of world champions. You're talking one of the greatest champions in history. So he was immersed in an environment of world champions. So what do you think happens to a 14-year-old boy who every afternoon and evening is going to a place of immersion of grown men who are stoic, who are world champions? Well, he's a multiple-time now GB gold medalist, European gold medalist, and the best in the world in what he does, which I'm very proud of, Olympic caliber athlete. Now, here's the thing. So, no validation. So what I say to everyone, you don't need external validation. Actually, this is a really pertinent point that I want to deliver to everyone. Let's say you've got super supportive parents that say you can do anything. Well, you still have to do it. Let's say you have parents that tear you down, you can do nothing. Well, you still have to do it. So like the validation means nothing. So it's learning that irrespective of the support and challenge in life, you're the one that has that self-reliance. You're the one, like, you know, if you think of the space and time that you occupy in this world is yours. You're the one that's to consent to the desires and to apply yourself. No excuses, right? So it's not about the economy or the X, Y, and Z or the planet. It's nothing to do with that. It's you. Consent to the desire, take action upon that desire, and allow things to manifest. And on a personal note, before I lead the hypnotherapy session, so I'm not too sure how long we've got. I have a tendency to speak quite long. But anyway, so I was approached to speak on the topic of wealth. And it was something I personally shared with Xian a couple of hours ago. I said, look, it's very difficult for me to speak on the topic of wealth because about 5 days ago, I'm not going to go into too much of the mechanics of it, but actually, we'll go a little bit further. 3 years ago, it's a little bit tragic, but I lost my partner, right? And she was very young at the age, so it took time for me to rebuild myself up and rebuild my life back. During that period of time as well, I wasn't really in a position to work with people, so there was financial hardships and, you know, it was a real testing time. Does this really work? I myself had been through quite a difficult accident as well, so it was a very, very dark period of time, but I thought I'm going to get myself out of this. So I used imagination, I used my faith, and I used every tool that I had. About 5 days ago, I was hundreds of thousands of pounds in debt still, right? 2 days ago, I became financially independent. Now, I'm not going to go into the nuances of what happened for that to occur, but it's all divine timing, and that's why I said to Xian a little bit earlier on, you know what, I said, look, a couple of days ago, a couple of 100,000 in debt, and his face is dropping, I became financially independent on Thursday. Round of applause to me. But anyway, so the power of the human mind and the power of focusing on the dreams and the things that you most aspire towards is the key to everything. Now, what I'll do before we go into the hypnosis part of it and in constructing that powerful sense of self, any questions? Okay. Rebel. Yes. Here's the thing, it's love. If you think about it, the starting point of everything is love. And our loved ones never want us to suffer. So it's love, it's that desire, it's it's in the most natural form, it's love. You can't, love and gratitude, there's nothing else. Like non-judgment to humanity is the most important important lesson in the world. But yeah, it's absolutely love. So love ignites everything. Once you have that ignition of love, then you dwell on those things and you make things and live an absolute fantastic and phenomenal life. And what I'm going to share to you on self-concept, just to because we're talking about wealth and X, Y, and Z. A couple of years ago, I worked with a friend's company, In Touch Networks, which within 2 years I helped build them into the largest tech company, or fastest growing tech company in the whole of Europe within a short period of time. What I do works, and it works really, really powerfully. There are people that I've worked with personally that have started from nothing, that have reached astronomical growth to billionaire status. It works. So wholeheartedly immerse yourself in this. If it's financial gain, look, here's the thing. The spiritual and the physical world, look, everything is one. So there's no shame in the desires you have. If it's impressed upon you for a simple life, enjoy it thoroughly. If you want opulence, enjoy it thoroughly. It's what's congruent to you. It's about you embracing that unapologetically, right? Because that's your gift from God. So it's a bit of a long answer, but love is the key to everything. Any other questions before we begin? Okay, what I want everyone to do is begin by closing your eyes. I'm going to walk around a little bit, but just tune into sounds. Have the eyes closed. We're just going to isolate our sense of sound. You can sit or lay down, whatever makes you feel most comfortable. So isolating your sense of hearing. So you can hear my voice, you can hear people walking inside, outside this room. Just isolate your sense of hearing. Now I want you to become aware of the entire sense of your body, the entire weight of your body. Just isolate your body completely. Now isolate your sense of smell. Just breathe in, breathe out. Not a remembered fragrance, but just your sense of smell. Now the taste in your mouth. Now the degree of light through your closed eyelids. Now breathe in from your heart. Feel the strength of your heart, the beating of your heart, the love that resides in your heart. Breathe in from your heart. As you're breathing in from your heart, think about the people that you love most in this world. Now become aware of the warmth or tingling sensation in your fingertips. Now bring your awareness to each and every part of your body, from the top of your head, right the way down to the tips of your toes. Just scan your body. Now imagine the colors you'd see under the moonlight. Imagine the sound of a waterfall. Imagine the taste of strawberries. Imagine how your body would feel were you laying in a hammock under the moonlight, getting drowsy, sensing your unconscious comes in as daydreamy thoughts, images, and that comfortable, easy feeling of a deepening relaxation. You realize you must be falling asleep. Now, because your body begins to feel so much lighter, you may begin to notice that your mouth may begin to fill with saliva. If it does and you find the need to swallow, you can just do that. It just becomes an indication of you're relaxing even deeper now. Excellent. You may even begin to notice how one of your hands is beginning to feel slightly lighter than the other. I want you to just become in tune with how that feels as you think about now the distance between the top of your head and the ceiling. In this relaxed state, wherever it may be for you, I want you to drift off to the most comfortable place in the world. It could be a park from your childhood, it could be a holiday destination, even your own home, but a place of absolute pure comfort. I want you to imagine how it would feel if your body were able to feel 10 times more relaxed. Imagine if you could find yourself feeling even more relaxed than you are right now. And as you're aware of the sound of my voice, the rhythm of your breathing, the beating of your heart, and that growing sense of relaxation taking place within, you can find yourself becoming aware of the temperature in the room, the weight of your hands, and every feeling, thought, and sensation allows you to drift inside even deeper and deeper still. And in this stillness, you can find yourself relaxing even further. And it's like daydreaming, or that feeling you get when you're laying in bed and you're supposed to wake up at a particular time, but you find you slip back down inside yourself and you drift off into that place. There's that part of you, as you turn your awareness more inwardly, there's a part of you inside you where nothing is impossible. You can find yourself beginning to connect with that side of yourself. Look, when you're 4, 5, or 6, if your mother or parent gave you a cardboard box, you could be an astronaut, you could be a queen, you could be anything, a king. You believed anything was possible, anything could be done. I want you to once again connect with that part of you. And I want you for a moment to imagine if you're absolutely everything you could ever wish to be and more. It's that sense of self that's not dependent on anything, on any judgment, on any validation, or anything in this world. That essence, that life force that created the universe. Connect with that part of yourself. Now from here, we're going to really start learning to feel really good. Because when we feel bliss, when we feel tranquility, when we feel happiness, when we feel flow, that's when things flow, that's when things work out. That's when things work out magically and wonderfully. I want you to think about one of the most wonderful moments of your life. It could be a birthday, Christmas, when your child was born. It could be the day you fell in love, that first wonderful feeling, that first signal you got for yourself on the inside when you felt wonderful. I want you to go back to that time, see what you saw, hear what you heard, remember the time of day, the very aroma in the air who was around you, and begin to feel once again how good you felt. I want you to allow that wonderful feeling to get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it folds over you and it wraps itself around you as you begin to bathe yourself honestly in wonderful feelings, learning to feel really good. Because it's time for you to live your best life, to become the greatest expression of you. I remember reading once a quote that said, all the things that you've ever wanted to do, go and do them, like make them happen. Now within this wonderful feeling inside, I want you to imagine the feeling you would have if there were like tens of thousands of people cheering and their sounds are reverberating through your very core. You know how it feels when you're somewhere and it's completely uplifting. I want you to imagine the entire universe is on your side. And people are cheering you on. And you can feel that surgence within you. You feel the backing of the entire universe. As you connect with your heart, feeling wonderful. Now from this place, I want you to imagine you being everything you ever wished to be and more. And further to that. Better than the best you've ever had, and dream even bigger. Connect with that. And I don't know what it is in your environment that will trigger good feelings and this spontaneous sensation of joy and things that will remind you to live your best life and be congruent with your highest aspirations, unapologetically. Being the greatest expression of you, maybe when you wash your face in the morning or when you place your head on your pillow and you sleep deeply tonight. And dream a dream of integration that has you reinforcing every positive thought and good feeling with you in a way such that you'll live your best life from this moment onward. Now and forevermore you'll remember that. Now I want you to imagine yourself day by day, week by week, month by month, until it's an entire year in your future, having lived your greatest life, having created the greatest, most wonderful improvements in every area, every facet, from your finances, your wealth, your happiness, your relationships, your health, where you're just beaming. Bringing that into this present moment. Now, as you walk through life, whatever you do, remind yourself to be congruent with your very best. So you're entering that consciousness of the greatest expression of you, the higher self, and you're living that. You're living your dream. You're turning the intangible tangible, and you're living your best life. Now and forevermore, you'll remember that. As I begin to slowly count back from 5 to 1, when we get to the number 1, I want you to allow your eyes to open, reinforcing every positive thought and good feeling within you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wide awake, wide awake. Bringing yourselves comfortably around now as a process of integration. I want everyone to reflect on all the lessons and all the things that you've learned in the session today, and obviously the sessions to come. Like, take notes on them, reflect, recapitulate, review in your mind, because when you're doing that, you're reinforcing that. But it's really simple, just like live your best life. Just keep yourself to your highest standards for you. What that highest standards for yourself, like you're living your authenticity, you're living your best life. You keep reminding yourself that, so you're not straying away from that. If you stray a little bit, you're bringing yourself back up on that upward trajectory to your greatest life. But we'll conclude there. If anyone has any questions, and these are all free, by the way, so feel free. The book there, The Teachings of Billionaire Yen Su, that's not my book. That was one of my mentor's books, and I think it was such a brilliant book that I brought books for everyone as a gift. And my book, Endgame as Architects of Destiny, which is the most conclusive and comprehensive book on success, in my view, ever written. I've spent, as I mentioned to you, the years in Harley Street and the people that I've worked with, there's been a lot of work that's put in there. So anything that you want to achieve is within that. It's all to do with character formation and becoming that greatest expression of you, because when you become that, the things that you wish to acquire are readily available for you. So I will conclude on that note, and I hope everyone's enjoyed the session and all the presentations thus far.
Beautiful people. Once again, Dominic Knight.